So we've read some Romantic poetry, three of the major poets of the Romantic period. We've read two of the great Victorian poets. Now, the next major context that kind of gravitates or kind of consolidates some of these poems is the First World War. We'll begin with a poem written by a soldier, Wilfred Owen. Wilfred Owen, if you look at his dates on the next page, he dies in 1918. He dies before the end of the war. Um, this is not the dutiful soldier anymore. The First World War was a very different war, and times had changed, and people had changed, and many people were frustrated and opposed the war, and didn't think it was a just war, and didn't think it was a war worth fighting. And poetry was one of the ways that this protest was made. And Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon were these incredibly lionized figures for their poetry. A lot of major poets died as well in the war, Owen being one of them. His poem, a really famous poem, is Dulce et Decorum Est, which is about a gas attack. His poems are typified by the horrors of war, burying his friends, the miseries, the hunger, the pain, the cold of war. This poem, Exposure, kind of exposure to the elements, as well as exposure of the truth, is a kind of lament about how meaningless the war is, how boring it is, how the weather is more of an enemy than the weaponry. And again, it's him dealing with the dead that he finds. Our brains ache in the merciless, iced east winds that knife us. That line slows down so fantastically and really captures, this metaphor of the weather itself being a weapon, an intimate weapon like a knife. Wearied, we keep awake because the night is silent. Low, drooping flares confuse our memory of the salient, of what is real. Worried by silence, wearied, worried by silence. Sentries whisper, curious, nervous, but nothing happens. That pairing is really nice. Wearied, worried. We get a sense of confusion, a loss of memory, and then this bizarre idea that continually repeats the poem. We have all this, yet nothing happens. Watching, we hear the mad gusts tugging on the wire like twitching agonies of men among the brambles. That's amazing. So this simile is of the wind is pulling on the barbed wire, and it reminds them of brambles, bushes with thorns, but the twitching agonies, this vision of death, convulsions, just a really traumatized idea, I'd say. Northward incessantly, like never ending, the flickering gunnery rumbles far off, like the dull rumor of some other war. He's having fun with these similes that are close, but just far enough to invite other meanings. What are we doing here? This questioning is a kind of protest for me. The poignant misery of dawn. I love that phrase. Okay, dawn is supposed to be plus, but the misery is why. Continued war, being alive. I mean, if that's the case, it's horrible. Poignant misery, the perfect misery of dawn is very, very fantastic phrase for me. I like that a lot. We only know war lasts. Rain soaks and clouds sag stormy. These are truths that we cannot ignore. One of which is war doesn't stop. The nature is itself a war. Dawn massing in the east, her melancholy army, her sad army. So even the metaphors are of nature and war, and that's really one of the core ideas of the poem, attacks once more in ranks on shivering ranks of gray. Even though all this, nothing's actually happening, it's just sunrise. It's in his imagination, perhaps. Maybe like London, Blake's London. I never thought about that. Could be. Sudden successive flights of bullets streak the silence. What an image. What sound there. Bullets streak the silence. I feel it. I feel it. Less deadly than the air that shudders black with snow. Okay, so weather worse than bullets. Got it. Weird. With sidelong flowing flakes that flock, pause, and renew. Flowing flakes that flock, pause, renew. We watch them wandering up and down the wind's nonchalance. Again, the irony of nothing happening. Even though this amazing bouncing F, the vision of the snow and it being worse than the bullets themselves. Pale flakes with fingering stealth come feeling for our faces. We cringe in holes, back on forgotten dreams. Sorry, this is touch, right? It's coming to us. It's touching us. Deep into grassier ditches, so we drowse, sun-dozed, littered with blossoms, trickling where the blackbird fuses. Is it that we are dying? Is that why we feel nothing happens? Is that what we're here for? Oops. Is that what we're here for? Is that what his big realization is? Just get this focused. Is that what he's coming to understand? Let's see. Here we get a really odd part of the poem for me, which is a memory of home. So slowly our ghosts drag home, glimpsing the sunk fires glazed with crusted dark jewels. That's coal in the fire. Warmth. He fetishes it. Fetishes as if it was treasure, you know? Crusted dark red jewels. Crickets jingle there. For hours the innocent mice rejoice. The house is theirs. Shutters and doors all closed on us. The doors are closed. This repetition makes it feel like a metaphor. Closed doors means they're blocked, shut off from this home, and they can't be there. And it's sad. He has to turn back from it, back to his dying. This is a very strange stanza for me. Now he tries to get a bit philosophical here. I don't know if it works. Since we believe not otherwise can kind fires burn, so it has to be this way. Has to be? Question mark. Does it? We believe it has to be. Nor ever sun smile true on child or field or fruit. For God's invincible spring, our love is made afraid. So God's love makes us fearful. Therefore, not loath. We don't hate it. We lie out here. We're born, for love of God seems dying. We have to accept this. Do we have to surrender to it? I don't know. Is this sarcastic? I think so. I don't think he's into God here. Tonight, this frost will fasten. It'll attach itself. It'll be fuse. It will be carried on this mud and us, shriveling many hands. The imagery of cold really is quite powerful here. Puckering foreheads crisp. That's amazing. Kind of creasing, puckering. The burying party, picks and shovels and shaking grass, pause over half-known faces. Are they burying friends? They're burying people they kind of know. It's horrific. This is horrific. Because all their eyes are ice. Horrific image ending the poem of burying the dead. And you cannot bury the dead when the ground is frozen. You can only pile them. You have to wait till the ground is soft. So it's even more gross for being cold. And then this sarcastic, yeah, but you know what? We're really bored. Nothing's actually happening in this poem. Here we see this protest, this anger at the war, this anger at being here, this meaninglessness of this war, wanting to do something else. Wilfred Owen's protest in poetry is kind of emblematic of war poetry that rejects the idea of war and doesn't just say it straight, but uses all the devices and poetry, mostly, Paul Fussell would argue, I guess, irony, sarcasm, mockery, as a way of really protesting.